Really appreciate that. Holy son of a gun. So let me just kind of back up a little bit and kind of share some of my story of how I got here. I'm not actually a trained designer or content writer. I was a health coach and esthetician, and I ran my business. I did actually start out writing copy for, he actually wrote murder mysteries. So it's not like I was completely new to the writing situation, but I really felt, and I enjoyed designing. I think I designed my first website off from like QuickBooks. They offered like a free one. So I remember doing that, and I remember really, like I would love to get in there and play with that. But I also know what it felt like to start as, when you're starting off this business, you have all this passion. It is your baby. You love it so much, and you just want to get it out in the world. And like all of a sudden you have to wear all these different hats. Like it's a technical maze out there. And that's just the techie part of it. And then there's the whole writing, and then there's the branding, and then everybody's giving you all these formulas, and then you feel like you need to sign up for this workshop and that workshop. And I think it just can feel like this big overwhelming thing that it makes you lose your voice. And then it also takes away from you getting out there doing the work that you want to do. So I just want to say that I know what that feels like. I've been there. And I think that's how I got to the point of helping people kind of like navigate their messaging from a place of like, let's get back to you and share you. And so it ends up being a bit more of a coaching session than it does just, let's make a pretty logo and, get your site live. So I want everybody to know that it's such an incredible, it's a very, very, very common pain point to have to go through all of that. And it is a lot, but the thing is, and what I'm going to kind of go through with you guys today is kind of focusing on your why and who you're talking to. And I want to say that like, there's so many different formulas and strategies out there. And I think the thing that I would hone in on the most is what feels really good. Like what feels easy, what feels like you, and what is the thing that sets you apart from everybody else who's doing what you're doing, because that is where you begin to really speak space. So I'm going to kind of go into the first place I'm going to start, because obviously there's a bunch of different things to chat about. And P.S. I apologize. My dog is right here. He's a pug. He's very loud. So if you can hear him, he's just breathing. But so what I was going to kind of say is what I want to take you guys through is kind of getting clear on your why. The thing that I think is the most important element of branding that I feel like can be a really good point of anchoring in is what's called the brand bio. And that's what you do plus who you serve is really the formula that I found describes that well. And so there's kind of this idea that when people land on your website, they know immediately what you do plus who you serve. So they're not fishing for like I think a lot of people will end up kind of putting this arbitrary content up there that sort of has more to do with like their backstory. But clients, people don't really read websites anymore. They scan them. They look for the information that they're looking for. So they want to feel like you're connecting with them, or they feel a connection to you and that you're speaking to them. So a few things with words, like the big thing that I really uncovered was in the coaching industry, I think in particular, in every industry, but in the coaching industry, I've noticed the most, there's a lot of industry jargon, and that is just words like authentic. And I always use that word as an example. And I don't even know, like that one's a little bit more common, but it's all these like kind of bigger words that you're almost like speaking to other coaches. When I think your clients aren't where you're at, that's why they're hiring you. So kind of taking it back and kind of going back to that level of what it was like when you first started. Like what are things that you would resonate with, and speak in your client's language, not where you're at right now. Because I think a lot of times what happens in the industry is you start speaking to other professionals, not your clients. So, and that's kind of the first point I'm going to touch on a little bit is kind of your why. So, and this is the why are you doing what you're doing? And so the whole idea behind that is most likely your services are meeting a need you once had. So think about the person you were when you were looking for this? Like that's generally how you became proficient in this. Like, so for example, like I said, like I've been in your shoes. So a lot of my branding and my wording speaks to the person I was when I first began this journey. So instantly your clients connect to you. And so there's, I have this saying that your clients really want to understand what you do while also feeling understood. So the clarity and the understanding of what you do is like basically saying like, I'm a business mentor and clarity coach. And I think going into that a little bit, like people don't know the difference. Most people don't know the difference between mentor and coach. So going in and kind of like describing, like basically like I help you figure out the strategy to build your Instagram community, the business mentor part. And then I also help you clarify, I help you figure out who it is that you really want to talk to or dig up your passion. These are just off the cuff examples, but just this idea of like really clearly speaking about what it is that you're offering. So having it right front and center, like what kind of coach you are, a mentor, and then pairing that with who you serve. So, so it would kind of look like I'm a clarity coach / business mentor who helps, I don't even know, this is so coming off the cuff, stressed out moms. I'll actually take you through an example here of what it looks like to kind of go through this process. But the first place I really start with is, why are you doing what you're doing? So, and like I said, you're generally, you're meeting a need you once had. So, but you generally, like people go through this and they start like looking through Pinterest and YouTube and reading blog posts, and they hire coaches and making mistakes. So basically taking all of that and then putting it in a package that is, so you're eliminating all the struggle that you kind of felt where you had to piecemeal your education together, and you're giving that to your client. So then just to kind of look at getting even more clear on the why, look at it this way. So what is it that gets you so lit up? Like, what's the thing that you do that, makes you forget to eat or go to the bathroom, or that becomes an inconvenience? Or and another way to look at this too, or to even get even clearer around your why, is what do you wish existed before you know what you now know? So like for me, I would have really killed to have somebody walk me through the branding process and like hold my hand through this. So that's now what I'm offering. And how will offering your services that lights you up help others do it in a way that you would have killed to have known about, and then raise the vibes. Basically, when they get what you're offering, how does that vibes, energy, consciousness, like think about like the ripple effect of your service. And so I think when you start to like really hone in on those three different like perspectives, you start to get really anchored in and why you're doing what you're doing, and it makes it easier to talk about. It gives you more confidence to talk about it on Instagram or Facebook or your blog posts, and it also gives you more content. Like it gives you because you're sharing from this place of deep-seated passion. Like we're doing this because we love it. Like there's like something in us that's really triggering us to do this. So really marinating on that and feel it in your bones is just, it's a way of getting you fired up and clear. Like, so I think after you get really anchored in on that, it's kind of through that's how you uncover your who. And so I don't really believe in the customer avatar. I think there's more of like the standard way where you kind of uncover like her age, what she drives and all that. And I think that makes you almost feel more distant from the process. I think getting back to that person of like, either usually your customer is the past version of you, like I said, or she is someone that you'd either really love to work with or that you are currently working with. Like that person exists. And that's really who I have my clients base like everything off of is that person. Like my only requirement is that they actually have a pulse. Like you've come in contact with this. And then going from there is you really get to know her. Like, and it's all the little details, because that's where the copy comes in. Like, like, I've said, like, I want you to know how she takes her coffee and like the color of her underwear, like really know her and her life, and like so you can speak to that in your copy, because even though you may use a really specific example, it resonates. Like one of the things that I remember, and I use this example all the time, but I remember hearing this, is there was a photographer who specialized in, I think her copy said something like, we work with a woman in the red dress and cowboy boots or something like that. And like, yeah, like all the women, it's not like she just attracted women who are going to wear red dresses and cowboy boots, but it conveyed this idea of the unconventional bride. And so women that were looking for like different and like, not your run of the mill photographer were really attracted to her. So that's why really getting to know these little details of who she is in a way of how she lives her life. And like questions you can think about, like, what lights them up? What do they make space for? Like, what's getting buried underneath like their to-do lists? And then what are their frustrations? How ambitious are they? What keeps them up at night? What is their relationship with money? Like stuff like you can really get into these little nitty gritties that they could go on for a while, and just really thinking about her. And so I kind of came up with a little example, like after you've gotten intimate with your person, like what is it that they need from you? So kind of thinking about, so I use this example of, let's say Elaine is a mama of under two, who is creating the zing of creativity she got from an advertising career she walked away from to raise two littles. While her family is the most important piece of her life, she feels like she's hanging on by a thread as her tank is drained with no fuel station in sight. She has the inkling to bring pieces of her former self into her current life. She would love to write more and have a conversation with friends over a Pinot in jeans and go for a run minus a side of guilt, but she has no idea where to begin or how to make space for it. So this is kind of like the idea of like, this is where you kind of bring in the pieces of really uncovering elements of her life, like through really getting to know your client. And then let's say you are a life coach who is a stay-at-home mama, and you once had two under two, i.e. you're just a few steps ahead of your client, and you know the drain of those early years all too well. You also created a path for yourself that allows you to be present with your kiddos, enjoy motherhood, begrudge it at times, have a career that scratches your soul's itch, dinner with friends, and run on the regular. You've created a life you assumed was reserved for someone else, but quickly found out if she can have it, so can you. So you're dying to help others get where you are in a fraction of the time. So then this goes to the point of, so what does Elaine want from you? She needs real down-to-earth help that offers her permission to start making time for herself, because mom guilt does crazy stuff to logical brains, and a plan to do so all squeezed into pockets of time. This is the lens with which you'll create your copy, your services, and your social media strategy. So it's important to really nail this lens. So it's this idea of the brand bio, which I talked about, is that opening line on your website. So basically it's what you do plus who you serve. So given that example that I just went through, kind of having something like, so this would be the opening line. I would, this is just an example of this particular situation of you as coach and her as client. Like where do these two needs intersect? And so let's say your business was called the Tinsel Project. And it's basically like down-to-earth coaching for mamas that could use a little permission and a plan all squeezed into pockets of time. So basically you're explaining what you do, and then you're speaking to the person, like mamas who could use a little permission and a plan all squeezed into pockets of time. Like they're really, it's getting in, those are the specifics. Like we can all relate to that. Or if you're a mom, you can relate to that, what that feels like. So you feel like they're speaking to you and you understood exactly what is being offered. So that's the thing that I feel like is the most important part of getting your brand message nailed and kind of anchoring it in. It's getting to your why and to your who in a way that I feel like I didn't see this out there a lot. I think the why kind of becomes this like arbitrary concept that it just feels kind of like you should automatically feel connected to it. When I think, if you really think about why you're doing what you're doing and like the bigger impact of it, then you can start to anchor in and share from that place. And then you can start to create your client around that, because generally you either have met her and feel very passionate about helping that person, or you were her. So it's almost like your why and your who are one. So I would say that's the best place to start for your brand clarity, because I think once you have that nailed in, you can start to funnel out and start to feel like what your brand identity looks like. And hold on, I think. So I guess from here, let me know, is there any particular questions? I know I went over a lot, but like if there are things that are coming up for people that would like more explanation, please let me know.
I'm keeping track to see if there's any questions here on Zoom or live on Facebook. I haven't seen yet. I let people know they can ask questions.
Okay.
I think you're doing great. I'm taking so many notes of this. I'm loving it. I love like when people participate as well. So Dory, Kelly, Stephanie, and then I think we have like 4 or 5 people on Facebook right now. Like, you know, feel free in the comment section. Like, I would just love to hear from you. Like, what's resonating, what's landing with you right now? Just to, you know, give feedback for Kelly and I too, of these things that are really like hitting the spot. So, yeah.
And too, because I know I talked a lot about like messaging and like your words. Like, I don't know if there's other questions in there with identity. And I feel like that's almost like the second part that I go into is like kind of, you know, creating a brand identity that is so rooted in you. Like, I think the best way to explain that is your words on your website are for your client, and the actual like design and visual feel of your website are for you. It's like the decorating of your home. So once you get to this point of really honoring things that really speak to you and resonate with you, you get to create a brand around that, like selecting your pictures for Instagram or whatever banners you use or the colors. Like, and when you feel in line with that, like it makes such a difference. It's the difference to me. I use this example somewhere and I was like, I totally get this. It's the difference between showing up in like your favorite outfit or your pajamas. Like when you feel like your website's kind of like, meh, it's fine. It's, you just, oh, sorry. I just looked at this. You're speaking my language of the mamas. Okay. Oh, wait. So Kelli, you're saying that basically you've had a few ideal clients that have been moms and they're stuck, but you feel like you understand that well. They're not ideal. So I would go in that scenario, I'd really look at what is your ideal? Like, where do you get lit up? And some of the frustration might be because they're not like, I think the two, like, I mean, this is going to come in with any group of clients, but moms in particular, I think have a really hard time setting time aside to move forward. But they have lacked direction and motivation. Yeah. Okay. So Kelli said that I love to help moms, but they have lacked direction, motivation. I understand that. I really do understand that. So I'd figure out so I'm working on becoming a motivation coach. I'd be curious to know like where your passion lives. Like, what is it that you love doing? And then speak to that. Like, who have you worked with that you loved? That felt really like you got that zing of invigoration after you got off the call? Or what triggered for you? Because if you were a mom that felt like kind of lost and motivated, what switch changed in you? And this kind of brings up like this idea, like really coming back to the idea, this feeling of ever lost, come back to what it is that you're doing that really lights you up. Like, I think that, and your business is forever going to evolve because there's going to be things that you're going to do that you're going to love in the beginning that you don't love so much, like, you know, years in for whatever reason, like it changes. And that's okay. And your business should evolve because your clients are evolving too. Like, I always think of this one blogger. I always used to get recipes. She always like sends out recipes every Friday, and I can tell she hates doing it. Like her content feels so stale to me when I receive it in my inbox. So, and like, I don't even like enjoy opening it. I'm just too lazy to unsubscribe. And so I think, you know, the energy transfers. So if you're not passionate about your services and it's not lighting you up, you got to redirect. You got to start using, it's okay to evolve. Like your business is going to change, and your clients will appreciate that. It's just sort of giving yourself space and permission to do that.
And Kelli, you really helped me with that, because before you redesigned my website on Squarespace, I was on Kajabi and I had a blog there, and I was writing more things like what I thought I should be writing as like a business coach. And then you kind of just like I remember you felt like there was a disconnect with my writing. And then you're like, what do you really want to be writing about? And I was like, not how to set up an LLC or how to find business insurance, or that just didn't light me up. And then you gave me this permission to just like write about the things that I'm really passionate about and feel really good. And so I've been doing that, and just the energy has been so different now with my new blog. And I'm going to be actually using parts of that blog into my current book that I'm writing. But it's just getting such a better response from people and more engagement. And so I think that we really get caught in this trap of like, making decisions of like, what do we think we should be doing? And should is someone else's idea of perfection, instead of like what really lights us up and feels good for us.
Right. And just, I mean, exactly. Like think about how much easier, like, I can even feel like that sounds awful to write about starting an LLC, or like, if that's not like where you're at, you're like, oh my God, can you imagine creating content on that? That just is, but if you're super excited, then it gets to come from that place, and the energy is so different and that's what I mean about like content creation and social media. Like, I mean, I had to do it in my business. My business was called Ginger Mint Creative, which I still love that name. And honestly, my services haven't changed, but changing my name from Hey, I'm Kelli gave me more room and expansion to feel like I can talk about other things that light me up, like decorating or, you know, nutrition, or, you know, it opened a door for me. And the content creation flow I was stuck. I couldn't create anything because it felt like I had to be in like this like advisor role. And it was like, well, like, I don't know what else to say. And so when you create from this place of like, well, here's what I'm feeling and what's lighting me up. And the content, like because when you stop sharing content, you stop getting new leads, new business, like your business, like just gets stagnant and stale. So, and you lose your interest in it. So creating, like basically having like this endless well of content has to come from a place of you just keep following your passions. And it's more than okay. It's so efficient. Let me know if anybody has any like thoughts or questions on like almost visual identity. Like because I really kind of just spoke on why, and I think sometimes it's interesting to hear if people are kind of more stuck on the visual identity, or if there's any place you guys are stuck, let me know, because I'm in the market right now to create a new like freebie, and I want to know like where do people feel really stuck right now?
Ooh, can I go?
Please do.
So I use Canva, you know, because I would love to work with you 24/7, Kelli, and have you design all my stuff because you're such a genius. But I do know that you work with other clients, so there are times when I need to design things on my own, and so I use Canva for that. And I feel like I just like waste so much time, like sitting in front of like all these options. I mean, I now know like the fonts that I have that you've created with me and my logo and my colors. But other than that, like just the visual design aspect is so challenging for me. And I know so many other coaches who struggle with that as well. So I'm like curious of your thoughts with that.
So tips on how to create, like maybe ideas of like doing like different color overlays or fonts, or like ideas that would offer options, or just how to use Canva? Like, or do you feel like there's like hiccups and like, oh my God, this is taking me forever to figure out how to make this font bigger or delete this image?
I
Or
know like
both?
the basics with how to use Canva. My first life coach taught me that. And so I've just kind of been self-teaching for years, but it's just like, I feel like for me, having some like pre-made templates or something like that would be good.
Ooh,
That
okay.
way,
That's a good idea. Yeah. No,
yeah.
I love that.
Okay. So that way I feel like I can do it. I'm empowered to do it myself, but I don't have to like
Hmm.
start like when it's that white box. I just feel like I'm just
Fair.
looking at it and like, oh my gosh, like what do
No, that's actually really good copy too. So just as like kind of an example, like you just use that one word, like that white box, like we all know what that feels like. So that would be something, that would be how I would roll out this offering. Like we all know what it feels like to stare at this white box and feel the overwhelm of like, how do I take this from like this to, I don't even, I'm trying to think of somebody that always has really beautiful images, but whoever it is like on Instagram that you follow. But that like that's what I listen for when I work with clients, are like those little nuggets of information that it's like we all know and feel. And it's like setting up this visual scenario of what is the actual emotion behind it. So no, that's actually really helpful. And I'll definitely create that. I'm not sure how you would do that on Canva as far as like loading different templates, but I'll figure it out.
when you do, sign me up. I would.
You know what I could do is I could create them on Infinity or Affinity and then load them up as freebies, and then you guys just upload them on Canva. So you guys have already like pre-made situations. So you just have to put in your own fonts or images. Cool. That's a really good idea. And that actually really excites me. I love fiddling around on Canva.
Good. Yeah, because I'm going to be launching my second Coaching Warrior program in July, and some of like the Facebook graphic that I designed for the private Facebook group, it's just not lighting me up. And
Fair.
so, yeah, I just feel like for the second round, I really want to infuse this I think energy is everything at the end of the day with our businesses and brands.
Oh, totally.
I just
Yep.
want like when I have these 8 new life coaches every day, when they come into this Facebook group, I want them to see this, like beautiful, powerful Facebook photo or cover photo and just like get,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, yes, I can do this. I can start a coaching business. I can coach women. This is my soul's path in life. And yeah, so and for me, like just trying to create that is just so challenging.
No, that's really good feedback. That's awesome. And I also want to say too that, okay, so I don't know why this kind of popped into my head, but I've noticed on like banners, and dude, I have one up right now where like people are like have the pictures and they're pointing down. And it's so funny, like how you say this is, I feel like energy is everything. Like that's supposed to be like what you do for like your banners, like getting people to sign up. And I look at them and I'm like, what? And I have one. And so I think it's really important to kind of, lean into that energy of like, you need to have a banner or a logo or a place decorated that really feels like, damn, like this feels aligned with me. Like it is the difference in showing up in your PJs and your favorite outfit. I mean, I guess it's not true for everybody, but I think if it matters to you, yeah, focusing on that. And I will definitely work on getting some templates out there so that can make that a little bit easier for you guys. Oh, here
And let's see, Kelli said something.
I have a friend who can design one for me that went to high school, but what would inform your design logo creation? So the way I start with logos, I actually have a video up that you can get on my website. It teaches you how to do your video to make a logo on Canva. But the first place I always start from is Pinterest. And I mean, obviously this isn't revolutionary. And you just go into Pinterest and pick a bunch of images. And the way to do that is think about words that you want associated with your brand. And so like, if you love red, like put that in, or like Krista, warrior. I remember doing that for you. I put in warrior and like, empowerment, and like that brought up some images that like felt aligned. And then two, I also look at like, I find the images that light me up, like, you know, like I love white spaces and minimalism. And so like I would have like a really cool pottery coffee mug sitting in one of my pictures. Like, even though it has nothing to do with branding, it's more about like, where do your aesthetics live? And so if you go in and you start to pin all these images, and it doesn't have to be like thousands of images, it can be like 30, and then pick 10 out of those 30, you will notice a theme. Like, you'll see it come up. So, and then out of those 10, narrow it down to like 5 and bring it over to a board on Canva. And once you upload those pictures on there, you would use a color picker. And this I have this as in the video. It shows you how to get the color picker, because you have to download it from Chrome. And the color picker basically picks up, it's like a little eyedropper tool, and it picks up your hex codes, which your hex codes, like, I know that this probably has to sound like this would confuse me if I heard me talking right now. So your hex codes basically are your brand colors. Like, so like with Krista, you have red, yellow, turquoise, and black. So each one of those have their own hex code. So you're not like picking any random version of red or any random version of turquoise. So your branding stays consistent. And the eyedropper tool picks those up for you. So you can copy and paste those hex codes wherever you want to see them show up. So to answer your question with doing the logo, I would pick a bunch of pictures. This is how I create all my clients' logos. I bring in the pictures that I feel like I found the theme and represent them the most, that I've gotten from where I feel like they've spoke, and like, you know, and sometimes if they let me into their Pinterest boards, I'll start looking at the other stuff they've pinned. Like, sometimes they think that they're looking at just like their inspo images, but like I'll go and look at like kitchens that they love, or like ideas that they had for kids. Like, it's a bigger, it's so rooted in you. It's really like decorating your home. So I'll go back and kind of like see if I can see a theme in those images. And then I just use the color picker tool and start looking at, like with Krista, like hers was like, I could feel like this royal theme. So that's why we started to bring in the crown, and like, and then, but then there's also like the subtle femininity of the triangle. And then, so I think, you know, playing around with different fonts, and then I keep the logos very, very simple, which gives you ultimate permission. Like, you can absolutely do that. Like, just pick, you know, different shapes, and working with the colors that you found in your inspiration images from Pinterest are really, I don't think you need to do anything more than that. I think just start getting in there and playing and really feeling it. And then the fonts, you can bring in from Creative Market. Creative Market sells fonts. So if you don't like the fonts you see on Canva, if you have a business account on Canva, which I believe is $12.95 a month, which you are going to want if you're creating a logo, because you want to save it as a PNG, which just means it has a transparent background. I don't want to overwhelm you guys. It is smart to have a business. I think it's $12.95, and you can cancel at any time. But if you're going to use Canva, I would do that. And then, but you can upload your own fonts into there. So if you go into Creative Market and like there's a font you really love, you can download it from them and bring it over to Canva. And the font is what makes your logo, I think. The font and the colors.
Mm-hmm. On that note, I was wondering if we could do like a share screen really fast and just show people the website that you made for me.
Oh, totally.
Like,
yeah.
Just so people can start to like see where your genius came in. Okay, can you see it?
I can see it, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the beautiful logo that Kelli was talking about, with the crown and the 3 triangles, which represents the femininity. I cannot say that word. Femininity.
Femininity. It's a hard one. Yeah. So, and you'll like, this is, I mean, I stuck true to my formula, like life and business coaching. Like, I'm not reinventing the wheel. Like, you landed there. And then it goes into for women who need help. So it's what you do, and then who you serve. And then usually it's like, something else, like you can go in and define it a little bit more, like, and this is just like a catchy little line to kind of further explain it.
Is there other thing like that you would want to explain on my site that I could go into right now?
So as far as like I should say this. So like with homepage stuff, scroll up to your bio. So I try now with everybody I start. So I always do the first part is the opening line of what you do plus who you serve. So there's that life coaching, and then you scroll down to a picture of you. Oh no, keep it on your homepage.
Oh, okay.
That would be a good webinar, is going through like dissecting each page.
Yeah.
So so then the second part I do is a little bio as you relate to your clients. So wherever your clients' needs live, how does your story intersect with this? So with Krista, like you're serving the people that are trying to, create the life that they're kind of stuck under. So sharing how your story has been there. You've been there. Like, I see you, I've been where you are, and this is me now. So, and it's a really brief bio. Like, again, people don't read websites, they scan them. They just want to know, like, oh my God, she relates. I can totally relate to this. Like, she's been where I am and look where she is now. I need to know more. So then that leads to your about page, where you can go a little bit longer into your bio, but still keeping your bio super short is really important. So yeah, and then like components on an about page, I always start with your business as it relates to your client. So your about is not actually about you, it's about your client. So it's about where your clients lives, needs. And then the second part is about how you intersect with your clients, if it's applicable. Not everybody is like the face of their business.
So your about page is not about you, it's about your client.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay. Cool. Okay. What else should we look at?
I think actually just like kind of keeping take a peek at my credentials. Like there's two things. Like I feel like a lot of people like put mission statements and like credentials and like stuff like that. Like your clients don't care about that. They absolutely don't. Like if they want to see your credentials, that you will probably get like 1 in 100 that care. Then have a button where they can click to know more. And this is also true with like if you have longer stories like that you've written, like that you had a really long about page and there's some good content in there. I don't think that does not belong in your about page. That belongs as a button to like learn more about me as I create a blog post. Because the thing is there's a difference between your blog reader and your website reader. Your blog reader is dying to know more information. They want to read that really long piece of snippet about you, but don't bombard the website reader, like, because then your golden nuggets of connection are lost in this long story that's about you. Your website, the words on your website, I cannot say this enough, are absolutely not about you. It's all about your client. Like, how are you connecting with them? How do they understand what you do? And so that's what that whole idea of speaking their language, like no industry jargon, like speaking really, really clearly in as little words as possible and as simply as possible. And I think like that's one of the biggest things. I think for whatever reason in the coaching industry, I see that the most is that there's like, you lose your client in the language, and it's really an opportunity for connection. So, and two, like with just basic website design, I mean, keeping it very simple, like, keeping the navigation menu, like keeping it, I would say only 4 options, 4 or 5 maybe. And then seeing if there's a way to condense it, like with services, like either have a drop-down menu and then there's always like, so like we did the announcement bar at the top of your website that, that brings it into them to a different space, but then there's really only 4 options for them to choose on your home site, or I'm sorry, on your homepage. Just as like a side note with opt-ins, like see on every single one of your pages, there's basically, you have the opportunity. So no matter what page they're on, someone always has the opportunity to sign up for your list. And that is at the top with your bar, and then yep. So there's always at least 2 opportunities for them to grab a list. And it depends on how you have your list set up. Like sometimes they all go to one list and sometimes people like have them segmented. It depends on how yours works.
Yeah, that was another thing that I was kind of struggling with because I serve life coaches, new life coaches, and then I also work with female entrepreneurs who are in direct sales, and I don't really feel like they should all be lumped together with like my opt-in and my email newsletter and everything. So just, I didn't realize that you could have like, and I have ConvertKit attached to this.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
can like address different audiences with, if you have like different blog posts or YouTube videos or content.
Yeah. Yeah, so it depends on it. Like when you start to do an announcement in ConvertKit, I don't know MailChimp as well anymore. I haven't used that. I'm sure that there's a way. I feel like ConvertKit's a little more user friendly, but basically you can say who you want your list sent out to. So if you have your clients, and I think that there's a way, I don't know the tags, and the tags are a big thing in ConvertKit, but basically you can put a tag in there that says like if you have somebody that's interested in a course or your one-on-one coaching, like you can segment them, and like the bigger you get, the more like you can kind of, I've seen people do it in actually the course creation platform that I'm involved right now. She's got a huge list, and like you can tell that she tags it out in the beginning that says like student. There are definitely ways where you can control who sees what in your list.
Cool. Is there anything else that you wanted to show them visually on this website before I stop screen sharing?
Oh, you know what? Go back to your homepage. I just want to say the other thing that I think is important is after your bio, giving them, if you scroll down to this place, it gives them giving them 3 distinct options outside of the navigation. So you have free call, life coaching, business coaching. I say usually 3 to 4. I just like having them right there so they know what you're offering front and center on your homepage. Like there's no fancy language. It's go here if you want more of this. So again, it's this idea of being super clear, and it helps you. Like you'd be surprised at how like it feels nice to take a lot of the options off. This doesn't mean that these aren't services that you're not offering. Like there's a lot of services I do that aren't on my website, but for simplicity's sake, so because when you overwhelm, you lose your clients. Like they just don't purchase. So keeping it as simple as possible really ups your chance of engagement.
Yeah, like today, for example, I have a client that I was doing some business coaching with, and we found out there was some blocks in her self-care and her health. And so I ended up doing 60 minutes of health coaching with her. And I used to be a health coach. I don't really offer that anymore. But I feel like we can't get so stuck on the fact that like, oh, if it's not on my website, then it doesn't mean I don't offer it. Like
exactly,
like you said, like just
right.
keep it as simple and easy as possible, but then also know that like you can still offer other things or coach around other things.
Right. Yep.
Too.
Yep. That's exactly. Yeah. Just because it's not up there. I mean, that's like the same thing with your brand. And I know I touched on this too, but I don't know why this also feels like another like huge sticking point is that like once you start to do something, your brand can't evolve. That's absolutely not true. Like you're never married to your brand. Like you think it is. Like it's a growing relationship. Like you never know the clients that you are going to start out with until you start getting in there, and then you're like, wait, I don't know if I like Kelli, for example, for you, like you probably thought out thinking that you wanted to do moms, and then you get in there and you start coaching them, and you're like, wait, I don't know, I kind of want more motivated. Like that is absolutely okay. Like that's how that's going to change and evolve, and it's okay to even change your name. Like if the name of your business changes, like do it. I did it. Just know that it's okay to grow. And like if it ends up being something that keeps you stagnant and stuck, then it's time to relook. And so yeah, basically just kind of like finishing your homepage. There's an opportunity to drive or to sign up for another list right there. And then, and there's no like rate formula to do this. Formulas irritate me because I think that that boxes you in. There's so many different ways to do this. It's what feels good to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a beautiful website, and I'm so happy with it.
Oh, thank you. I like your site too.
Yeah, just like you said, like I don't remember what you said, but you should feel like at home in your brand. And yeah, like when I go there, it feels good. Like I get all bubbly and excited when I see it, and I want to like just hang out on my website versus before, the one that I designed when I had no idea what I was doing. I would just like look at it and cringe, and I didn't want to send it to people. And so I felt like that energy was just keeping me stuck in my business. And
Totally.
yeah, now I'm building this beautiful site and this beautiful brand that I connect with, and it's just visually so appealing to me. It feels great, and I was scared to make the investment, because it's scary. It's scary spending money on stuff like this, but at the same time, like it's completely paid off because of the clients that I've gotten from it now, and it was totally worth it. But it was. If for anyone right now who maybe might be feeling like, oh, I know I want to outsource. I just know that this is something I don't want to do on my own. I feel like I've been there, but I'm really glad I ended up doing it.
Oh, I'm so glad. Your project was so fun, and I totally understand that. Like, I think that, that is like, I think that's why this matters so much to me, is I know exactly what it feels like to feel like it's a huge. It's crazy that it's like just a website, but it can also feel like a blog. It can also not feel like a blog. I've seen, people that are like, they're doing their thing and they have their, their Facebook set up and that. But I think that sometimes you just need that tangible anchor, especially with life coaches, because it ends up being, you have a more of like an intangible service, which I felt with health coaching. It was like hard for me to express what it was that I did in a way that people understood the need for it. So it was like, I almost needed the website for myself to like have the clarity around what was going on. So, yeah, I think if it works for you, it's obviously it matters to me. I'm biased, but it's because it was a huge, like, it really removed a boulder for me. So, and I know the investment is scary too. And I'll keep trying to put content out that feels like I can help you move forward.
Well, and I think that's kind of like brings into this next point too, of like, you do understand of like, to do a lot of this branding and design, and it is an investment, but then I know that you're also looking to create like kind of more do-it-yourself programs and kind of like these templates we talked about, and more things that if there's like a completely new life coach starting out and does need that branding help, that you still want to have things available for them so they're not feeling stuck, and maybe they're not quite at the place yet to completely outsource their design and their website. So right. What do you have to say about that?
Well, actually right now I'm working on two different legs of that. Basically, it's going to be a group program where my hands are in it with you. So it's going to be like, it's a 5-week curriculum where we go from week to week of designing. Like we start out basically figuring out your why, and then we go through your content, and then we go through the logo and the design process, which I'm in it. It's going to be a video that shows you how to do all this by yourself, and then like a fillable Google Doc that you can kind of go in and like. And then so that'll be on a Monday, and then every Friday we meet via Facebook Live. So that's kind of like the Q&A. I guess it's like office hours. So there's that version, and that's actually going to be a very small, intimate group with the option to, if you want to upgrade to bring me in for an hour to look at your website, whatever you want to use that hour for. Like, I don't know what my brand clarity is. I feel stuck on this. There's the option to bring me in. So it's a more higher touch curriculum, but it's for two people. It's for the life coach that are starting out. But I've also come in contact with a lot of coaches that are like, they want their hands in this, which I totally understand. I was that person too. Like, I did not want somebody else doing my messaging or designing. Obviously I love that. But I also was like, I don't know, there's so much information, like I'm feeling lost. So it's for that person too, that like maybe they feel ready to invest in their business, but they're not actually really willing to give up control. So it's just me helping you lead through that process. It's obviously far more affordable than working with me one-on-one. So there's that. And then there's also the stealth study, which is going to be even more affordable, but that's going to come after this version, because basically it's going to be all of the content that I created with this group. You also are going to get the community involved in that too. So you guys will get exposure to each other's websites and hopefully help each other out, and then also help promote one another. Because that's the thing with IGC I love, is that we're all supporting each other's businesses. And what a fun community that
right now.
Right? Exactly. Right. It's so supportive, and my goodness, you need that. You need each other. And two, to feel like IGC's logo is work by yourself, or work for yourself, but not by yourself. And so it's that feeling of just the idea of, you guys are in this together and you feel what it feels like. So, and you can support each other on different platforms. So that's what the small group is going to be. And then eventually there will be a self-study option where you can, there's no Facebook Lives or group. It's just, you have all the videos that lead you through the 5-week curriculum. So yeah.
Cool. So
it's coming.
For someone watching this right now, if they're like, oh, I'm really connecting with Kelli and I just want to talk to her, what is kind of the best way to reach out?
I would say the best first way is set up a Let's Chat session, just to be fully transparent, because I feel like this is coming up a lot, is I am actually not taking any one-on-one clients until September. So if you're I need to do this right now, I'm not your gal. But if you're I just want to speak to you, dude, reach out. I would love to hear from you. I love the entrepreneurial journey. My heart's really in this. So yeah, schedule a 20-minute chat with me. It's on my website. There's a calendar that you can book right there. It's heyimkelli.com.
www.heyimkelli.com. Okay. There's the website. I'm going to put it on Facebook too.
Thank you.
So that's so badass, by the way. I cannot wait for the day when I'm sorry, I'm not taking any new one-on-one clients till this time because I'm fully. That's so.
Yeah, let me tell you, that's not how this started out. So it's been I think it's just trust. I trust, dude. That's the thing, is we all have these passions put on our heart for a reason. You follow them, they are absolutely going to just stick with them and do it your way. That's the biggest thing, is I feel had I followed all of the website design and the content and really listened to the fact that I'm not trained professionally graphic design wise, or everything is self-taught. But had I listened to that, there's no way I'd be here. No way. But I love it so much. And I think your passion trumps everything.
Mm-hmm. And that's actually something we brought up on our Coaching Warrior call last night as well. One of the girls was saying I felt she was just feeling a lot of doubt. I don't have a marketing background. I don't have a business background. I don't know if I can do this. And I was hey, you know what? At the end of the day, I don't think any of us have these.
No, I would have never, ever thought I'd be in marketing.
I was a nurse for 5 years. I was taught how to deliver a baby and how to change beds and clean up body fluids. Right. No one taught me. I had to learn all of this stuff. And it's so just for any coaches that are feeling doubtful right now, your brain is so moldable, and you can learn new skill. You can learn anything that you want, and you can be if you want to be a 6-figure or 7-figure coach, or you want all the success in the world, you can totally have it. You just have to say maybe I don't have the skills yet, but I can get them. And
absolutely. Oh my God, you can YouTube your way to anything. Yeah. Seriously, you really, there's so much information out there right now for entrepreneurs. You're really well supported. You just have to kind of get through that feeling of, oh my God, there's so much information out there. It can feel really overwhelming. So, just follow the feel good. I know that sometimes can feel an ambiguous, I don't know what that means. And that doesn't feel but really use that as your barometer. I think that, Like, I should not have put that banner up on my Facebook page with me pointing down. Like, I hate that thing. Like, seriously, follow where you're marketing. Like, just be real. People want human connection, big time.
Just be real. Perfect.
Like, if you look at the trends on Instagram, all the Instagrammers that I'm seeing more and more of are really sharing like the rawness and the realness of their story. Those are the ones that are getting all the likes.
Yeah, that's I've even started out with my Facebook group of just going just more raw than I have been.
Mm-hmm.
And when I do that raw, messy, and when I do that, like I just get so many likes and so much engagement on those posts. And I was like, okay, this is where it's at. People love it.
Oh my gosh. Well, because everybody, you feel alone. And like the thing is like we're craving connection. And so knowing we're so similar, but we all got to air our dirty laundry to sort of feel it. And we need this as a planet. I think that's a big part of what's going to be end up raising our consciousness is us all feeling like, dude, none of us have any of this figured out. We're all doing it together. So,
right.
So yeah. And that's too, is I saw other like people out there basically being like, someone who I really admire. Oh my gosh, I love Ash Amberjay. She's a copywriter. She actually has a really like, I don't know what she does anymore, to be honest, because I don't think she's a copywriter anymore. But she's the one that wrote something like, dude, none of us have this figured out. And I was like, okay, if you're saying that, absolutely not. Like, she's so successful, but the permission you get from that. So I'm really just spreading her message. Like, it's so true.
Mm-hmm.
We're all just figuring this out.
So true.
So you got to use your gut as your barometer.
Oh, I like that.
Oh.
Barometer. Okay. So any last and final words from you, Kelli, or from our audience? Do you have any questions or thoughts while we're hanging out here for another minute or two?
Fire away.
I feel like this was so good today. Like I just took so many notes and it just kind of like really rooted me and reminded me again of what this is all about. And like you said, so much, we get so caught up in like, if we're creating content, it's not about us, whether it's on our website or our social media or YouTube or blog, like it's not about us at the end of the day. It's speaking to her and she's got living, breathing pulse. And what is it, that, and I love what you said too about knowing the color of her underwear and how she drinks her coffee. And I think just like, and Katie DePaula said this today too, is as life coaches, we're in the business of relationships. That's all it comes down to at the end of the day. So like fostering that relationship with our client and understanding her and speaking to her through our content it's so huge.
It's so huge. And what better way to do that than be really real and honest? Like, so if you're ever like, well, I don't know what that means when I'm speaking to her, just go to you. Like, what do you need to hear today? And I know I'm saying like, it's not about you, but like if you drop in and you're like, I'm feeling lost and like whatever it is that you're struggling through, frame that in a way that's going to be guidance for her. Like, what is it that you need to hear? Because if you need to hear it, there's a very good chance that she needs to hear it. So yeah, I mean, and I think too, just to offer like even more clarity around that, like when I say like your about pages, like here's just a good, or when I'm saying speaking to her, like the difference in the about pages, like I think a lot of times people will put their whole story or their manifesto, like that feels good for you to get that out on paper, but that's not doing her any good. So, just think about stuff like that. I mean, I think that's a way, I think, because that can feel confusing. Like, what does it mean to speak their language or to speak? It's not about you; it's about them. And because I remember hearing that and feeling like, okay, what does that look like in examples? But you can feel it when you start to do it, and it's just resonating with them. And the most important part, I can't say this enough, is really speaking clearly and simply. Like for, just to give you an example and framework, like, so I do website design and content writing, but I try not to assume that people know what copywriting or content writing is. Like I basically say the words on your website, or how do you want, instead of using all these like fancy words like brand and logo, favicon. I mean, most people know what a logo is, but you know, like, I mean, even when I was like talking about hex codes, I was like, oh, I'm being a dick. Like, this is exactly what I would hate to see. You know, like, speak my language so I don't feel overwhelmed.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known a year ago what hex codes meant.
Right? I know. We all got to start somewhere. I remember I didn't know what a favicon was, which I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but it's the little icon in your URL, which somebody like said that to me, and I like never forgot it. So that's how.
I feel like this is okay.
Yeah, that little crown.
Today you can look. Here we go. Favicon right there.
Yep.
This little, yeah, I didn't learn that until recently. So I feel like that's just a cool thing to know. Here's the Facebook favicon. Here's the Zoom favicon.
And like if you're building a Squarespace site, you can tell it's like a little bit more amateur because they'll put the little square up there. So but it's super easy to replace it in Squarespace with one of your own designs. So that could be another little course. I think I'll do one like that, like how to do I don't even know if I'm saying it right. But yeah, if you guys think of anything, feel free to message me. And like I'd really like to know about this. I love doing video, like I'll do screen shares. I love doing little video tutorials of like how to do things, how to spruce up your Squarespace, stuff like that. So, or branding, whatever you have. I probably, you know, if I don't know it, I won't know it. But if I do, I'd love to help you.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing your all your knowledge with us, and I can't wait to hear from everyone after this of, you know, what they took away from everything that you taught us today. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. This was fun. I like this.
It was fun. I could do this all day long.
I know, right? This is so fun. All right. Well, Krista, thank you so much. And let me know if I can help you guys out in any way.
Perfect.
I'm here.
All right. Have a great day.
All right. You too. Bye.
Bye.